Anyway, Drake London, you mentioned him. He had some interesting things to say that blew the socks off the guys that were interviewing him. Here he is, Drake London.
You know, you grew up in the LA area, not far from USC, but teams that, you're going to be excited to be on the field with. Who was your team growing up?
The Lions.
The what? What?
Yeah.
How the hell does that happen? How do you latch on to the Lions?
Let me break it down real quick. Let me break it down. Pops was a Barry Sanders fan growing up.
Okay.
And then it just so happened that Calvin Johnson, one of the best receivers ever, or the best receiver ever, was there. So I got to watch him growing up, and it was perfect. I could care less about records or anything like that. It's just him being Megatron was something special for me.
Okay, that's a good answer, because I was starting to question your mentality and your brains there for a second.
No,
That'll work. Okay, I like it.
Hey, they're moving in the right direction
Mike.
now, too. They have the right attitude with Dan Campbell as the head coach. And I know that you don't get to pick where you go, but are you kind of hoping that maybe the way the dominoes fall, the way the names are called, you could end up playing for the Lions?
I'm just hoping the dominoes fall that I get picked, to be honest. Whatever team gets me, I just hope they know that they're getting a playmaker at the end of the day.
How close did you come?
That's really cool. So that was Mike Florio and Chris Sims asking Drake London about where he'd like to go, and kind of blew the socks off Chris Sims. Lions? What do you mean Lions?
Playoffs.
I mean,
Lions.
hey, his dad was a Barry Sanders fan, and he was a Calvin Johnson fan, Megatron. You can't underestimate what impact those two players specifically have had on generations of football fans growing up. In life in this country.
I agree with you. I always talk about not being a Detroit fan. I was two teams fans growing up. Well, the Houston Oilers because my father were now the Titans. But in terms of my own opinion, I love the 49ers. You know why? I love Jerry Rice.
Right.
I love everything he stood for. I love the touchdowns. I love the slight celebrations. I love that. And I love Randy Moss as I got older. I wanted to moss somebody. I wanted to wear 84. I wanted to be super freak. I wanted to get drafted to the Minnesota Vikings because of Randy Moss. And in the draft I was in, they had 7. I thought I was going to go there. I thought I was going to play with Dante Culpepper. Wanted to play there. You never can take away the value of watching people grow up and falling in love with a player and wanting to do the same thing.
I agree. I loved Howard Cosell. I always wanted to have a microphone and talk sports.
You did say that.
How do you not?
How do you not?
Perfect timing.
How do you not? That's fantastic. But it was funny to see Mike Florio's follow-up, too, because I do think Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have brought some respectability to this franchise as well that it did not get in years past, in decades past. I think certainly since Jim Caldwell left the Detroit Lions, in those later years, in the Matt Patricia years, this franchise was a joke. And I think they have brought some respectability back to the franchise.
Yeah, I think, you look at this year from an outside standpoint. I think what happened is that it's a couple of the big premier games that we played this year. People were able to watch that game. They were nationally games. Look at the Rams game. People were able to see the Lions go all the way toe-to-toe with those guys. And if it wasn't for two of the best players in football, damn sure the number one player in Aaron Donald, the Lions might beat the Rams. You look at the Baltimore Ravens. The Lions almost beat the Baltimore Ravens. You don't think people were watching that? And then you look at the end of the year, how hard they fought. You look at Dan Campbell. People were watching him. He's talking about knee slapping. He's talking about the Starbucks with the Pike mixed in the espresso. People have watched, and on the national scale, they have seen things about the Lions that they can believe in a little bit, and I appreciate it.
So we mentioned Dan Campbell, and I want to play this soundbite for you on Dan Campbell because this is making the rounds on social media. It's making the rounds on local news. It's making the rounds everywhere. Dan Campbell on what it means for players to come to Detroit, what it will be like here in Detroit if you get selected by the Lions. What are you going to do? What is this franchise going to provide for these players? Here's Dan Campbell.
I think if anything, these guys know, and anybody that wants them to come into our building, if you want to know what we're about cutting it loose. We're going to be aggressive, and we don't cower from anybody. We respect all of our opponents, but we don't fear any of them. And so if you want to come to Detroit, you're going to be gritty, and you're going to be with a bunch of guys that freaking love the game. They're going to give all their heart and soul, and we're going to cut it loose. So that's what we're about, and that's what they know.
How can you not want to play for that guy?
Drake London definitely wants to. Like the teams that he had, the players that he has right now, they definitely want to. People around the league are watching. Free agents are watching. They saw what the Lions did last year. Speaking of free agents, I'm excited. I got to get it out. I'm telling you, the perfect free agent move for the Detroit Lions is Quandre Diggs. Quandre Diggs. You talk about safeties. That's why we don't need Daxton Hill. What we need Quandre Diggs. Quandre Diggs is a 2-time Pro Bowl player that the Detroit fan base loves. They absolutely loved him. They were pissed.
Wow.
They were pissed that Quintricia got rid of this man after you just signed him to an extension. Got rid of him. He goes to Seattle, makes another Pro Bowl. What did he tell Penei Sewell? He still loves Detroit. He told Penei Sewell how to endear himself to Detroit. You talk about this is a new regime, this is something different. You want to prove it's a new regime? Go get a guy they love, bring him in, and let him tell the people it's different. Let him tell the other free agents, nah, this ain't the same Detroit.
I love Q.
This is different. Exactly. You love him. This is different. They're building something here. You want to come here? I've been to Seattle. I was in Detroit. This ain't the same BS that they've been on before. This is something new. We got something special. Get your butt to Detroit because we're going this way. Quandre Diggs is the free agent move the Detroit Lions need to make.
I love it.
29 years old. 29 years old. Probably for that position, you're entering some prime years. You are in your prime years in the National Football League at that position. Wow, Braylon, you just blew my friggin' mind.
Every once in a while. Every once in a while.
Wow.
Now they just got to listen to you.
I'm telling you, man.
And not going to break the bank either, by the way.
I think he's up for $12 million a year. I think I looked it up. I think he's $12 million a year will be what he'd be asking for, or somewhere around 12 to 16, and they can negotiate it. It wouldn't be a bank breaker.
Braylon.
It's a good move. I think all the way around, everybody wins. I love it.
It's crazy, Braylon. Quandre Diggs. That would be something. You can use some veterans on the defensive side of the ball, too. I mean, you got Michael Brockers, sure. Trey Flowers, I don't anticipate he's back next year. So you've got Michael Brockers, and you've got who? In terms of veteran guys in the National Football League on your team.
Is who they're depending on.
Right.
He's your
3, you're 4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I liked Alex Anzalone, but I don't look like he's coming back.
26 years
Anzalone,
old.
yeah.
But he was, what, 26 years old? I'm talking about big-time veterans. And by the way, this just in, according to ESPN, the Buffalo Bills interested in adding Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, he's from there.
But here, let me ask you this question about that move. You have Knox and Gronkowski, and you have Stephon Diggs, and you have Emmanuel Sanders, and you have Cole Beasley, and you have Reynolds, the guy that's a lot of players. That's a lot. It's only one football. Mm-hmm. You've reached the end of the video. You know what you should do? Press like. You know you like the content that we have here at Woodward Sports Network. I'm Braylon Edwards from the bottom line. Subscribe to us right now.